have you been wondering what the 2026-2027 season is going to look like? Well, this Habs fan here is going to predict that off of what I've read over the off season, all the sports stuff. I've also looked at some magazines and some articles, see what they think, alongside with some of the hockey guy stuff. But yeah, that's my prediction of the Habs as a Habs fan right here. So the tiers I have are lottery, mid, wildcard, playoff bound, and Stanley Cup contenders. So this is in alphabetical order, I believe. Yes. No, it's not. There's some in wrong order. But anyways, mostly alphabetical order. So I'm going to start with Anaheim. Anaheim, they definitely took some step backs with the contract negotiations. I don't know how the GM is gonna come back from that, but I guess this season we're gonna see. It's gonna be interesting for them. So I'm gonna go with mid. Alrighty. Next is Boston. They're gonna be also an interesting team to watch, considering last year I didn't think they were gonna even make it to the playoffs, and then they barely squeezed in. Of all the teams in the Atlantic, I do think though that they may just be mid. I don't think they're gonna make it to the playoffs again. Now, the Buffalo Sabres, they made it all the way there. They were like the first place in the Atlantic, which is a pretty crowded division, as seen with Boston. I think they're definitely Stanley Cup contenders with the right moves. I'm gonna put them there, which is weird to say because last season, at the beginning, they were lottery teams. They were a lottery team. Next is Calgary, which is a lottery team. No need to explain, you've seen last season. And I believe they're going towards the rebuild. So, yeah. Carolina, they won the cup last year, and they could probably do it again this year, so Stanley Cup contender. Chicago, I would like to say that they're like mid, but they are losing Bedard for a good chunk of the season, I believe, or at the very least the first few months, which is where you really want to get a good start. So I'm gonna put them as a lottery team again, but right under like fringe mid, basically. The Avalanche are also a Stanley Cup contender. They did a pretty good job at going through all the playoffs, but then they choked against Vegas. It was like on a hot streak. Yeah. Columbus, I haven't read much about them. I know they came close to losing a key player, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Marchenko, he was rumored of getting traded. And then they sat down with him and they were able to talk him out of it. Like basically talk him into staying with the team. But I do still believe they're going to be mid. Dallas, I think they're going to be playoff bound. I don't think they're contending for the cup. They haven't really, past years have shown them being like, oh, we're going to be able to make it to the Stanley Cup. But no. I think this year's going to continue that trend. The Detroit Red Wings, like, unless they can talk their captain, Larkin, into like staying with the team and not being like a negative for the fans and all that stuff, then they're going to remain mid. The Oilers, I think there's definitely going to be a bit of a push because this is McDavid's last season of his contract. So it's a contract year for McDavid, and basically that means Edmonton has to prove themselves if they want to keep McDavid. So I'm going to put them as playoff bound. Florida, after a whole year of injuries last season, and they also went to the Cup Finals 3 years in a row, and then this year they didn't even make the playoffs. They were all the way at the bottom, and then they got Kachuk, the other Kachuk. I believe they're Stanley Cup contenders. They didn't really lose anything. Their players just got older, and now this season they're all healthy again. So yeah, it's gonna be scary. The Atlantic is really a stacked division. The LA Kings, I'm not too sure about them. I think they're gonna be the first wildcard team. I haven't read much about them, so can't really talk that much. Minnesota, last year I believe they made it into the playoffs, and it was between them, Colorado, and was it Seattle and Utah part of that? Yeah, it couldn't be Winnipeg because they were all the way at the bottom. I think so, but yeah, I think Minnesota is playoff bound. The Habs, not just saying this because I'm biased, but if they continue to build on off of last year, that they literally made it all the way to the conference finals, I do believe they're Stanley Cup contenders. It's already 3 Atlantic teams in the Stanley Cup contender area. Nashville, I think they're gonna remain probably. I'm thinking between mid and wildcard. They are getting a new GM. They do have a new GM, I believe, and all that stuff. I'm gonna take a risk, and I think they're gonna be in the wildcard spot. New Jersey is another team that I think is like Florida, where they were heavily injured, but also they all had poor management. But I think they're gonna bounce back and at least be a wildcard team. The Islanders, the Schaefer's gonna help them out a lot, but I think they're gonna just be mid. Same with the Rangers. I think they're gonna be mid. The Senators, if they can, I think their captain, Brady Tkachuk, may have been a bad part of the locker room, and I think because of that, that's gonna help him out and not have to worry about that anymore. So, I think all the other players are gonna help out, so make them go to the wildcard spot. Philadelphia, the best thing they did their off season was not even anything having to do with the team. It had to do with the team that they screwed over, which was Anaheim. I think Philadelphia may be another wildcard team, maybe playoff bound, but yeah, I think they may have overachieved considering how quick they lost Carolina, but I mean, the Habs also lost quick to Carolina, so yeah, I can't really say anything there. Pittsburgh, I think they're wildcard team too. Basically playoff bound because of like how they have Crosby that's aging like fine wine. So yeah. San Jose. This is tough. don't really have even that many lottery teams. But it's not about that. It's about where I think they're at. San Jose, I think, is going to be mid, maybe wild card. So tough. I think they're going to compete for the wild card. Celebrity is something else. Seattle, they're a weird team. They could probably be playoff bound, but I think they're also just like not good enough for the playoff bound position. I don't know if they're around like San Jose. I'm gonna just put them as like, no, I'm gonna put them wild card. St. Louis Blues. Unless I believe they might have another not too good season. And I'm gonna put them as lottery. Now Tampa Bay. I think their team's aging out. And I don't know if they're gonna be contenders, but they're definitely playoff bound. Toronto Maple Leafs. It's hard to position them. They did get a good goalie. However, they sunk to the bottom last season. I'll just put them as mid. Vancouver is going to be last place again. I'm not even going to think twice about it. Vancouver's rebuilding. Vegas, I'm going to put them as playoff bound because of how they did last season. During the season, they were mid, and then they got a boost from frig, what's his name? I burned his name in my mind so much that I don't even remember. Yeah, I should move my camera on the other side now. Let me do that. Voila. Yeah. Winnipeg, I believe they may have another season of pain. But their goalie could make them mid, but I think it's another season of pain for Winnipeg. Utah, I believe, is gonna take another step this season, and they're gonna be playoff bound. And finally, same as the Capitals. Actually, nah. Ovi is getting old and not aging like Crosby. But they do have Logan Thompson, though. They have some nice pieces, but I don't know about the rest. Alright, I'm gonna put them as a wild card. Yeah. That looks right. So for the Stanley Cup contenders, I got Buffalo, Carolina, Colorado, Florida, Montreal. 3 Atlantic teams. 1 Metropolitan Division. And 1 Central Division. No Pacific. Playoff bound, I got Dallas, Edmonton, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Vegas, Utah. So 1, 2, 3 Pacific, 2 Central teams, and 1 Atlantic team. Wild card spot, I have the Kings, Nashville, New Jersey, Senators, Philly, Pittsburgh, San Jose, Seattle Cap, and Washington. So 1, 2, 3, 4 metropolitan teams. 1, 2, 3 Pacific teams, and 1 metropolitan, and then 1 Atlantic team. And then for mid, I got Anaheim, Boston, Columbus, Detroit, both New York teams, and Toronto. So 1, 2, 3 Atlantic teams, 1 Pacific team, and 1, 2, 3 Metropolitan teams. And then lastly, we got Calgary, Chicago, St. Louis, Vancouver, and Winnipeg as the lottery teams. So you got 1, 2 Pacific teams, 1 Metropolitan, 1 Central, or sorry, 2 Centrals. Yeah. So I mean, it's looking like the fact that I have that many wildcard teams looking like it's gonna be competitive again. Like last season, there's like a whole like part of the season, like longer than usual, that everyone was like in competition. Like the wildcard spots weren't like in position, weren't locked until like the last day. So I think it's gonna be another nice season like that. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this month early NHL tier list prediction of the 2026-2027 season. Hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want more of this, and like the video if you agree somewhat with me, or you just find my takes funny, and comment down below who you think is going to win the Stanley Cup. So, as always, stay teletuned.